So the Dragon capsule gets jettisoned from the ISS.
Yeah.
And it comes flying back to land here somewhere in the water off California. They moved it from Gulf of Mexico to California. So super cool. What I didn't know is that it jettisons its cargo capsule as it gets closer to splashdown. That cargo capsule is all the shit that it brings back from the ISS. So I'm assuming it's like all their containers, oxygen bottles, things like that.
It's their waste. The garbage.
I'm guessing it's a lot of garbage. So you've got like all those jerky wrappers from Butch because he was up there for like 9 months. So he's got all his. And then I've also was like, oh, it's also got to be full of shit.
Yeah, of course. That's what I mean. It's all the waste.
Because it's got to bring back all of the poop.
And they jettison that into the ocean and then they go fish it out, I hope?
No, they just drop it off in Baldwin Park. I have no idea why, but they're just like, we're going to just fucking leave this here in Baldwin Park. Like you would think the people of Baldwin Park would have something to say about it.
Quiet, please.
This is probably a problem.
In 4,
This is probably
3,
a problem.
2.
Company presents a Truly Terrible Podcast. Welcome to Nonsense Season 3, Episode 23. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm Little.
This is our take on the week's business, tech, and entertainment headlines. This time, from prevention to peril, the CDC's lead program has been dismantled.
They're funneling all that lead to measles prevention now.
Paying top dollar for disaster, in its transition to digital, the College Board is getting a failing grade.
Well, you can always take those tests from someone that's not the College Board. You can go to one of the... Oh, wait. No, you can't. It's just the College Board.
Bar exam blunders. California's legal test continues to discover misscores.
Oh, I always score at the bar.
I dated Miss Scores for a while. She was lovely.
Did?
Oh, yeah, she was very nice.
That was great. Yeah. Does every town in the country have a bar called Scores in it? I feel like
they should.
Every little shitty town I've been to, where I grew up, there are at least 3 Scores bars, I feel like.
But I'm sure there's sports bars.
They gotta be, right?
It's not a meat market bar. It's a sports bar.
Well, every bar is a meat market bar if you believe in yourself.
Also, our big story later this week, budget cuts and broken dreams, the unseen cost of public school decline.
Oh, it's going to be a real uplifting segment, isn't it?
It's Bee Week. Time for my favorite television show of the year, the Scripps Spelling Bee. Do you watch the show?
You nerd.
The best. The semifinals are Wednesday, May 28th. The finals are Thursday, May 29th. You know I'll be watching, doing my best to spell along. The Super Bowl, the World Series, placid, tension-free events compared to the Bee.
I am a terrible speller, so it's like one of those shows I'm like, come on, nobody can fucking spell that, and then they just knock it out, and I'm like, oh.
That's the hilarious part is, right, that's the hilarious part is exactly how wrong you can spell some of these words. I find it very entertaining.
I don't watch it like you do. I've only seen bits and pieces, but I swear I've seen them use letters I didn't even know existed.
I'm sure of it.
Like that weird Brazilian BC thing, whatever it is.
Sure. How is your week going, sir?
As you well know, the reason I'm sitting farther from you at the table today, I'm not feeling great. My little guy got a virus, and I'm pretty sure he pushed it up the tree to the rest of us. So that's lovely.
Sure.
I'll be fine. She's not going to cough on you.
Thank you.
Here's the thing. I love aviation. I love sonic booms. We've done, 3 or 4 episodes on sonic booms?
Sure, at least.
I always miss them. It doesn't matter when or where they happen. I always miss them.
You don't hear them, or you regret not having them around anymore?
No, I do miss them, but I've never heard them. I have nothing to miss because I've never heard a sonic boom, I don't think, in my life, because I'm always somewhere where they're not. For example,
I've heard so many.
Back when the shuttle would land at Edwards every now and again, every time it would come in, I would be just like indoors, out of town. So I've never actually seen or heard one.
When they would come into Edwards, I lived in Pasadena when that was happening a lot.
Oh, you'd hear them.
And it would shake the entire house.
Kabloomy, yeah. So I've always missed them. This past weekend, guess what happened?
Sonic boom.
I'm hanging out with some friends, right? We're having fun, having a couple drinks, we're outside. And then one of my friends says, what the hell is that? And he looks up and there's this thing streaking through the sky.
Yeah.
My first thought was it looked like a rendition of Santa Claus. It looked like Santa Claus with a big red streak behind his little reindeer.
Sure.
And I'm like, wait, I think it's July. Fuck, I was like, wait, I think it's May. Did I forget to buy gifts for what happened? Is it already December? But no, it wasn't Santa. And they're trying to figure out what it is. And I'm like, okay, wait a minute. This makes no sense. I'm looking at FlightAware. There's nothing in FlightAware.
Yeah.
There were no launches that I knew of from Vandenberg.
Yeah.
Not that you would have seen it. So I'm really broken in my brain. And they're looking at me because I would normally know these things. And I can't believe that anything would re-enter the atmosphere over Southern California. So I'm like, the best I can figure is it's a jet with afterburners. That's the best I can figure. The streak seemed way too long for that, but I'm like, I don't know.
Right.
So we sort of debated for a couple minutes, whatever, we don't get anywhere. I needed to pee, so I go inside to pee like a civilized human, not outside, because, I'm not an animal. And I come back out from inside for 30 seconds, and they're like, oh my God, did you hear that? And I was like, what are you talking about? They're like, it was either a sonic boom or a trash can. And I'm like, all right, you idiots, it was probably a trash can. If you can't tell the difference, it's probably a trash can that fell over. And then sure enough, we find out that it was a sonic sonic boom from, this is from the Dragon capsule, the SpaceX's Dragon capsule coming back into the ocean. I was shocked that they're going to dump this thing off in Oceanside relatively close
to humans,
to a whole lot of people. Yeah.
Sure.
And, you know, I mean, the good news is when you have something on a trajectory, for the most part, it goes where you tell it to go. It's not going to stray too much, but it still seemed a little risky to me. The long and short of it is I missed yet another sonic boom because I was inside peeing. So, yeah.
So sorry.
That was my week.
I heard it. It startled me. It does not make me happy. I do not like those sonic booms. I don't like the giant chemtrail it is throwing. It's a giant advertisement. You might as well be driving your Ferrari at 200 miles down the street as loud as you can. Draw attention to me.
Yeah. Well, that is Los Angeles
is like,
for the most part.
It's the absolute worst. Also, give us forewarning when you're going to have a sonic boom.
That kind of surprised me.
And don't have them at night. You startled my animals. I have nothing but dislike for
orbital
this.
Mechanics. You can't just be like, oh, let's just pause for 6 hours so that Jeff can get his beauty sleep.
No, but you are scheduling. When you go up, you know when you're coming down.
Well, yeah, I mean,
it's not like it's a surprise to you. Oh, I guess we'll come down Thursday.
Sure. Tell that to Butch. See how he feels about that. You know when you're coming down. Meanwhile, he's got a stack of old subscriptions to the New York Times sitting at his house. I'm really surprised this was not messaged more. There were some people on threads and Twitter that were talking about this, but I didn't come across any of it. And I thought I followed all those weirdos.
Yeah, sure.
So I completely missed it. I don't know how like local news didn't broadcast this a little more. Like you're going to see it and hear it at like 10 o'clock at night on a Saturday. Like you would think this is something that they would promote a little more. They did not.
I just hate it. I hate everything about it.
It was still pretty cool to see.
I've seen it many times. It does nothing, and I've heard it many times. Please give us forewarning because I have animals.
What would you do differently?
This is so not
like little earmuffs.
I would have my animals with me, close to me,
so
they would know when the boom happened. We're all good.
Sure,
probably something like that. That's all I can think of.
I told my kids it was dinosaurs. It's the best I got.
You can ask me about my week, or you just want to do yours?
Oh, I thought that was it. Oh, you did your week.
I don't care, whatever you want.
Oh my God, I'm an asshole. How's your week?
It was my birthday Saturday, and the Nib family made for me what I can only describe as the best chocolate cake I've ever tasted in my life.
Oh my God, I'm a double asshole. I didn't call you on your birthday either.
Absolutely amazing. If you're really, really nice to me today, I will share a slice with you, but I got to warn you in advance that as there grows less and less of the cake, the generosity of these slices that I share
becomes smaller and smaller.
becomes smaller and smaller as well.
You basically, your slice is 8% of whatever's left. That's how this works.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's your own form of trickle down. It's your trickle down cakeonomics. I get it. Totally makes sense.
So good. Thank you, Nib family, again. Wow, that's just. And I understand when you're making one of something, you don't make it like in large batches of 100.
Sure,
you can really focus on how to make it amazing, and you don't have to worry.
I'm at the point now where when I go to make ribs and I'm buying them from Costco, I don't even buy them from the container, from the case in front of you. I ask the butcher to go back and get them from the case and back. And get them uncut and prepackaged. And cryovac, because not only are they 20% cheaper, you got to do your own trim, but they're not split, so I got to split them myself. So I don't understand the whole making one of something. To me, it's like, if I'm going to do it, give me 16 pounds of this shit. Why not?
Well, but if you're making one of something, you can really focus on making it just absolutely perfect.
Oh, I still do that.
The cost of the ingredients doesn't matter, and all those things. If you're doing it commercially, you've got a lot of other things.
Well, I don't do it commercially. It's just at my house. I just give it to my neighbor.
No, well, you're pretty close to commercial scale.
Easy. I'm going to have a tax collector at my house before I know it.
Let's get to our headlines.
Let's do it.
No more lead experts. CDC cuts jeopardize child health. State officials are concerned that the CDC can no longer effectively prevent childhood lead poisoning due to staffing cuts to its childhood lead poisoning prevention program under the Trump administration, which took effect April 1st. These cuts eliminated epidemiologists, statisticians, and advisors specializing in lead exposure.
Man, we are making Rome great again, aren't we?
Oh.
Just getting back to what the Romans did. Just line it all in lead. We'll be fine.
Sure. Lead for everybody.
This has been in the news lately, I think mainly because of
Milwaukee,
was it
the school
district in Milwaukee, which is kind of a terrible story. I went and read a little bit about it. They have, basically paint flaking off
of school buildings.
Yeah, they have. So something like 80% of the schools in Milwaukee were built before lead paint was banned, right? So before 78.
Yeah.
Milwaukee being an older town.
But the amazing thing is, 78, you haven't repainted the school since 78.
They have repainted it. They just repaint over it, right? It's like literally they're just like putting this shiny coat over it. Now they actually are trying to remediate it better.
So you didn't strip away the old paint before you painted the new paint.
I mean, it's just kick the can, right? Like, I get it. It's super hard and expensive to strip it away when you can just put a coat on and be fine.
It's lead. Strip it away.
But as soon as that base coat comes off, yes, it's lead. It's like, no, we just covered up the asbestos with a blanket. You're like, no.
Oh, no.
It doesn't actually work that way. It's a real mess. You've got these kids with elevated lead levels.
Of course.
And as it turns out, like, okay, first of all, the schools are bad. And yes, it's maintenance that they've neglected over the past 40 years. But the houses, especially on the sort of poor, more dilapidated homes, there's real lead poisoning risk from those as well. Like, it is a real mess.
Yeah.
And I didn't appreciate that. I mean, especially if you're in something that's a little more modern and that has been repainted and remediated and you don't have flaking paint, you're like, oh yeah, this is a real issue. So the gist of the story, as a lot of folks are talking about, is that Milwaukee has asked for help from the CDC, and the CDC is like, new phone, who dis? We ain't got nobody.
Yeah, exactly. Despite Health Secretary Robert F. Kennedy's false claims of a team on the ground, the absence of these experts hinders national responses to poisoning events, as evidenced by concerns that a recent contaminated applesauce scandal, which the CDC helped investigate, couldn't be handled similarly now.
Yeah, so the health commissioner in Milwaukee responded to this and literally said that there's no team in Milwaukee, that they had a single federal employee come to validate a machine, but that was separate from their formal request for a small team to actually come to Milwaukee and help investigate and support what's going on there. It's a real mess.
And funding for state-led programs is now also at risk.
I mean, I don't understand what the benefit of not funding lead programs is.
Then you have fewer children growing to be adults.
Well, no, I don't think you necessarily get fewer children. I think you get fewer healthy children. I think you end up with more of a burden on the health system that was completely preventable.
I'm sure.
Although, you end up getting suppressed IQ from consumption of lead. So maybe they're looking to grow their support base.
Okay, that could be it.
That's terrible.
People who believe they're making America great again.
Yeah, make Rome great again. Make Rome simple again.
Oh my.
It does seem like history, and I'm no history expert. Yeah. But man, it really does seem like it writes the future. It seems like you can go back and look at history and be like, oh yeah, we did that before. What do I know?
Nothing but trouble.
Nothing but trouble.
Test of patience. College Board's digital conversion hits snags. The College Board is facing significant criticism for repeated technical issues with the digital SAT and AP exams, despite its status as a mission-driven, not-for-profit with high executive salaries. Most recently, the AP psychology exam was disrupted nationwide due to an outage with the required Blue Book testing app, leaving many students unable to access the test.
If this story was read in, let's say, 2003, I'd be like annoyed. I'd be like, you guys, you can figure this out. We can do this at scale. Yeah. Like, you really got to figure the bugs out here. It's 2025. The fact that
because they drug out going digital for so long.
Yes, but the fact
wouldn't go digital.
We're literally calling it a digital conversion.
Yeah.
Like,
we've all figured out how to do that 20 years ago.
That was 20 years ago we did the digital conversion. Like, fucking Christ. Like, they should be in crypto by now. What are you doing? You're so far back. You should be paying for your digital test with crypto. It's like one of the things that drives me crazy when people will say, oh, well, we've got an e-commerce platform. I'm like, no, you don't. You have a commerce platform.
Right.
That's just what we call it now.
That's how it works now.
It's not important to call it e-commerce. You can't just be like, oh, well, I'm going to e-message that to you.
Don't worry about the mission-driven, not-for-profit College Board. It's drowning in cash. The U.S. group, which administers the SAT and AP tests to college-bound students, paid its CEO $2.38 million in total compensation for 2023.
That seems like a lot for the CEO of a College Board testing administration business.
Especially if they can't figure out how to run computers.
Oh, yeah, no, that turns out he's a paper guy.
I mean, that's insane.
Yeah, he's a paper guy. Yeah, this is super frustrating to me because they have kind of one job, right? Their primary job is to administer these tests. And you would think they could make some decent investment in a platform to do this. I don't know why we're having these growing pains now. It seems like at a minimum botched rollout, if not just a disaster all around.
I'm not sure why we even do these tests the way we do them. I think, why aren't there more groups? There are basically two groups who are putting out these tests.
Yeah.
There's the ACT people, which is a for-profit company.
Okay.
Used to be a nonprofit, now it's for-profit. And then there's the College Board, which puts out the SAT and the AP tests.
AP tests, yeah.
They kind of have a monopoly on a racket.
Yeah, absolutely. It's sort of one of those things where you need a standardization. You need a monopoly. What are you mapping to? If you've got, the little Parker testing entity, how is the school, the University of Iowa going to map our tests into their system?
Well, we design our tests so that it can map into those systems. I mean, you design your standardized tests so it gives you some modicum of these are universal results. This is where this person is when they take the test.
Sure, but then am I not then stealing their IP by mapping into whatever their special universe of AP math is?
You're mapping into the IP of the universities. You're not mapping into the test material.
I mean, the test material itself, the actual test, the material you put into the test.
You can create your own test questions. This is not impossible.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you can have ChatGPT do it. What a terrible idea that would be.
You can write your own questions.
Sure.
And give your own practice tests. So I can assure you, those questions could then graduate into becoming a real test that someone else is putting out.
Yeah, this whole thing just seems like a mess.
I do think standardized testing is useful. There's a lot of people who don't. And there's an awful lot of people who say, well, it's unfair because the people who can afford prep for testing have this huge advantage. That's 100% true.
Of course.
That's true.
Of course.
However, I do think standardized testing tells you a lot. It tells you about, does the person who's taking the test, do they actually know the material in some way where they don't have to have the book in front of them?
Yeah.
Or in somewhere where they're not getting a bonus for attendance? Or in some way that they're not somehow being favored by a teacher?
But it's one indicator. It's not the only indicator. It's one indicator.
Sure, of course. They're not good at picking the teachers who give the easy A's.
Yeah.
That's why the standardized tests are very useful.
I think they have real value. It does seem like it's a bit of a mess. The implementation of.
Well, certainly the implementation of the digital test is a disaster.
Yes.
AP Psych testers could not access the tests. And within an hour, many students were finally able to log in and begin the test, but other students had scheduling conflicts and were therefore dismissed from the testing room.
Late test day order.
Yeah, and other students had scheduling conflicts and were therefore dismissed from the testing room. Basically, people study for this test, they're ready to take this test, and suddenly they find out they can't take it.
Yeah, that's the part that really
unfair.
Yeah, that's entirely unfair. You really have very few options at this point. Like, they probably did the best they could by pushing them later in the day or getting to the makeup window.
Sure.
Like, if you've got other plans or other tests or you're planning on a vacation or whatever the hell else you've got going on now, that's all upside down because these guys can't administer a test.
Also, you timed your sleep, you timed your meals,
totally.
You timed everything so you'd be good to go for this very long test.
I'm pretty sure every SAT and SAT2 test I took, I was just like up late the night with you actually the night before. I'm like, I'll just stroll in, take the test, it'll be fine. Kind of like how remember when you took the ham test? I think like my extent of studying was us in the jacuzzi for an hour.
That's really all it took.
That's really all it took.
It was not really that.
Well, you
hard
needed
of a
eyesight
test.
too because we were at the School of the Blind, so we got an extra +1. Just for the listeners that don't know, Jeff and I took the ham radio test at the School of the Blind. I don't know why it was there, but that's where it was. That's where we went.
That's where they could get the classroom space.
Oh, I don't think they told them. I think they just showed it. Shh, be quiet. Don't let them hear you.
They have no idea we're here. Just don't make any noise.
They have no idea we're here. It's terrible.
California bar exam takers were told that they failed. Whoops, they actually passed. Earlier in May 15th, the State Bar of California said that a number of scoring errors had occurred on its February bar exam. Another black eye for the disastrous test plagued by logistical and technical issues.
Is this the year of testing malfeasance? Is that what we're doing here?
It just seems like it's way too late in time for this to be a problem. Why are we having problems this late in the game?
I mean, this is so okay. College Board has sort of a stranglehold on AP testing and SAT testing.
Yeah.
This is the California State Bar, which to my knowledge is the largest state bar association in the country.
Of course.
It's like 250,000 attorneys.
Yeah. It's a $400 million annual revenue organization.
Yeah, like $430 million a year. Now, a lot of that is grant money that they then pass through. So like $250 million of that, give or take, something like that. But still, it's like $180 million org that, spends a bunch of money and they have enforcement. They have a trial counsel that's used for attorneys that are not so great. Like they do real work for sure.
Yeah.
But I'd argue administering the bar exam is one of the most important things that they do.
It's got to be the most important thing they do.
And they completely and utterly fucked it up. So it sounds like they had like 4,000 people that sat for this exam in February. It just had problems with computers crashing and delays. They had exam security was not great. They distracted proctors. Like it does really sound like it was a mess. And then afterwards, they were like, "Oh, we didn't accurately score some of the testers," which does happen, right? This is not just a California thing. You've seen a couple of years ago in Kentucky, they had like 15 examinees passed when they actually had failed.
Yeah.
It's happened in Michigan with a couple people. It's happened in Georgia. Like this has happened before for sure.
Yeah.
But here it feels a little more widespread. I believe they actually they being the bar, had to petition the Supreme Court to change the acceptance level because the test was so bad. So they actually had to lower the acceptance level, which allowed more people to pass. I think they had a 56% pass rate for February compared to typically somewhere around 35% is the historic average.
And in some cases where people did not pass, they're arguing that they should be allowed to practice law on a provisional license.
Yeah, which is also just kind of crazy to me. I mean, I know people have taken the bar.
I don't want to lawyer who has a provisional license. Thank you.
It's like the little letter when you go to the restaurant. Like you get the A,
Yes.
lawyers. You're like, oh, you're one of those C lawyers. Oh, I don't know if you're my guy. So this has been a mess, and I dug in a little bit to it. So the intent here was for California to basically to roll their own
test.
So they were hoping to save about $4 million annually. Yeah, that was their intent, was to roll their own testing procedure and save some money. Mm-hmm. So of course that has blown up, because now instead of saving about $3.8 million annually to fix this problem for February, in July it's going to add about $6 million in cost. Mm-hmm. We're going the other way. They used a vendor, and so they've already sued the vendor, which by the way, any vendor who wants to sign a contract with the fucking California State Bar Association, I'd be like, hard no.
You're being sued for something.
You're getting sued.
Anything you do wrong,
you're getting sued for something. Sure. They're just like, you didn't dot your I. We're going to sue you. And you're like, what?
Exactly.
Who's going to represent against that? Like, who wants to take the other side of the California State Bar Association, right? Like, no one.
Nobody in California.
You better get somebody out of state. I don't know how that's going to work. Anyway, it's an absolute mess. And I'm sure this vendor completely fucked up. I mean, there were reports that the vendor had an employee use ChatGPT to write questions for the bar exam that the California State Bar never reviewed. That seems like
Well, two sides are at fault here. Both the people who wrote the questions didn't review them, and the California State Bar, who should have checked every single question.
You would think. I mean, you would think that you would actually, take this pretty seriously.
The California State Bar executive, Lee Wilson, will step down in July because of this, acknowledging her responsibility for the botched rollout.
Yeah, so one thing that I read in this whole thing that I thought was a really nice thing to see, something I don't see terribly often, was she took full responsibility for it. So this was Leah Wilson, the State Bar executive director. She's going to step down in July, citing the botched rollout of the new exam as her reason. When she was criticized, she said that she felt the criticism was appropriate and deserved. Mm-hmm. Like, you just don't see people say that very often. It seems like she actually owned it, and I had a lot of respect for that.
She still screwed up about 4,000 potential lawyers' lives for a moment.
Yeah. Well, it might be longer than a moment. I wouldn't be so sure that it's just a moment, but yes.
Addressing its problems for the July exam is now expected to add nearly $6 million in costs.
Yeah. Now, the good news is they've still got, not counting their grant money, they still have $100+ million a year in top line rev. What's kind of surprising to me, a couple things. One, why don't the examinees pay the full cost of the exam? That seemed kind of odd to me. You would think you would just take the total number of people you expect to take the exam, divide out your costs against it, right? Like that seemed obvious to me, but they do subsidize it. The State Bar Association subsidizes it.
I don't generally think that you should restrict people who have less money from being able to do things like this.
I mean, but you are going to the legal profession, right? Like, I'm fine if you want to have some grant programs or you want to help folks that are otherwise, do that. They have grant money. They can make this more fair and equitable across the board. However, that doesn't seem to be the approach they take. The approach they seem to take is it's a flat fee.
Yeah.
There's some incremental fees, but it's the same for everyone. Now, also, the other part that sort of blew my mind is there is a national conference of bar examiners, and that's where California used to get their test questions from.
Right.
That's like 200 question multiple choice. There's a whole group of people that all they do are these questions for bar examinations.
And test them out thoroughly before putting them on the test.
Exactly. And, I also wonder why it's like, okay, well, they have increased costs. How California thinks they can do it for less is kind of impressive to me. Like, I don't think that's necessarily the case. But also, why does the National Conference of Bar Examiners not just charge less? Like, you would think they just need to net out their fees.
Right.
And they didn't have a very big book. Like, their top line was around $30 million, I think, last year. $35 million, which does seem reasonably proportional to what they're trying to do nationwide. And I also would be remiss if I didn't mention that they've got like $180 million in assets. They've got a huge stock portfolio. I have no idea what they do with it, but they got a whole bunch of money they're sitting on. Not sure why.
Yeah, right.
It's a 501c3, but here we are.
And no debt to balance that out.
Apparently not. So if you can get some equity in National Conference of Bar Examiners, you should do it.
Okay, enough with the headlines. In fact, enough with the episode. We have to get out of here. Special thanks to our floor director, Martina Chaconis.
Thanks, Martina.
We'll be back later this week with our big story about the harm we're doing to our future by not investing in public schools. Until then, thank you for listening to all this nonsense. I'm Jeff Parker.
I'm Stu Little.
Au revoir.
How do you spell it?
How do you spell what?
Au revoir.
A-U-R-E-V-I-O-R. Au revoir.
Latin? French?
French.
Calling all Tandy owners. Now that you've upgraded your what?
I just know I'm going to be in trouble because the minute you go Tandy, it's like, oh, this is going to be
I know.
in the 80s or something. It's going to be hard.
All right. Calling all Tandy owners. Now that you've upgraded your Trash 80, I bet you, like most other Tandy owners, find yourself running out of storage. Well, then, you need to speak to the specials at Microsystems out of Glen Burnie, Maryland.
Okay.
Microsystems specializes in your Tandy 1000, 3000, and 4000 computers. They offer a wide array of Tandy 1000 hard cards built using mini-scribe hard drives, including the 20 meg, 61 millisecond version for $920, all the way up to the blazingly fast 40 meg, 40 millisecond version for $1,190.
You've adjusted those prices. Those can't be the real
I
prices.
have adjusted those prices to today's rate.
Okay.
And if that's not big enough or fast enough for you, Microsystems is proud to announce their Tandy 1000 hard drive kits, including the Seagate 60 meg, 28 millisecond drive for $1,350. If you're hungry for more storage, give Microsystems a call today. Visa and MasterCard accepted.
Fantastic.
All right, what year?
That's hard. I think the TRS-80 is probably 1977 because I played with one in high school.
Yep.
And I know the Tandy brand was gone around 2000, so it has to be somewhere between those two dates.
Good job.
Tandy 4000 had to be around 19...
Well, electricity was invented in 1890, and it's 2025, so it's somewhere in between that. Way to narrow it down.
Somewhere between those two dates. That's
all right, keep going.
Well, I got a range here. The Tandy
no.
4000 has to be on the later end of those, so I'm going to guess Tandy 4000 was probably 1987.
Yeah.
This kit probably had to be somewhere around 1987, 1988.
It's a very good guess. Late 88 is when this ad was from.
There you go.